If I wasn't scared, then this wasn't big enough. So I'm standing in front of you tonight, and I'm petrified. This is a story about entrepreneurship and leadership. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is not readings from the book, but I'm going to share with you stories from the book. And some of you will hear your stories, those who have known me, and you'll see it through the book, but I thought I'd take you on a little bit of a journey. And I have to tell you, I'm feeling very overwhelmed. Now, Travis, I hope this is working for me. Nope. There you go. We'll go to the first. Oh, there you go. First, I'm going to answer 3 questions that people keep asking me. How, when, and why. I'll start with the why first. About 5 years ago, I came home from work one day and I told my son Alexander that I was thinking about writing a book. Alexander, in his infinite wisdom, told me that I was not smart enough or wise enough to write a book just yet. He told me that only Papa was smart and wise enough. I would have to wait. So I listened. And 2 years ago, when we were in Napa, California, Alexander and I, for his 21st birthday weekend, over a beautiful glass of wonderful California wine, Alexander told me, "Mom, it's time. It's time for you to write that book. It's time for people to learn from the leadership mistakes and challenges you've made, and you can help other people so they won't mess up the way you did." So there, that's the why. How? Gail and Yvonne, where are you? They're over there. Those 2 ladies are my writing buddies. They convinced me that I had stories to share and tell. So with the help of these very brilliant women, we started to put a plan and an outline in place, what we thought people were looking for, a practical guide, inspirational, using again my stories as the linchpin. Now, this became also very personal because Yvonne was my first major client 27 years ago. She scared the crap out of me every time I had to present to her. She was tough, so she knows me well. Then when? 21 months. I've been writing for 21 months. Only 10 people knew. Not even Patrick, my husband who stands there. He only found out about the book when he got the invitation to tonight's party. So for all of you out there who think I can't keep a secret, think again. Now, my journey into entrepreneurship started at a young age. That's me with my brothers Eric and Francois. Back then, even as an 8-year-old, I was thinking I was a princess. I was setting the stage, and I was telling my brothers they were pirates and they were going to rescue me. That was in Haiti, one of the places I grew up in. Oh, you know what? This isn't working for me, Travis. Poor Travis. Okay, there we go. Travis is always helping me out with the technology. I want to talk about in the beginning. I want to talk about 19 years ago. Harold, where are you? Harold? Okay. I hope you can see this picture. I hope it brings back memories for you. 19 years ago, Katrina was just a few months old. Alex was 3. I decided I wanted to start the kind of agency I wanted to work in. Patrick had just started his own adventure as an entrepreneur, and I really didn't think it through. And I thought I want to be one of those 2. So I promptly asked my dad if he would help us out, and he said no, and don't ask your mother either. So I knew exactly where I stood. So I decided to write a business plan and go to the bank, the Royal Bank specifically. And Harold was my account manager. He looked petrified when I walked in a business suit, a baby carriage, and a business plan. We went over the business plan, and Harold said, "Michele, it looks great. You need more money than you're asking for." And I said, "Wow, okay." And he said, "We're interested and we will give you the money, but we need collateral." And I said, "What's that?" And he told me I had to put up some money. They would lend me the money, but I had to put up some money. And so I said, I don't have money. My husband's a new entrepreneur, I'm on mat leave. Just give me the money so I can start my business. And poor Harold looked at me and said, I can't do that. So I proceeded to take off all my jewelry in his office. And he said, what are you doing? I said, this is collateral. So Harold looked at me and said, put your jewelry back on, woman. He said, I will give you the money, but make sure you don't mess up. Because we have no collateral and I'm not taking your jewelry. So thanks Harold. That was 19 years ago. Travis, oh, there you go. That's me in 1994. That's what I looked like when Harold decided to fund me the money. Back then, I was everything. I was a courier, accounts payable, salesperson, project manager, creative director. I did it all. It was a very lean operation, and as you can see by that picture, I was lean then too. But my goal was to be a weapon of mass creation, and so we started to build. So I want to talk about leading the way, and I want to start by showing you that for everything, you begin with a vision. Then you must have passion for what it is you want to do. You must learn to be a leader. You must also build upon the great talents and really know what your core competency is and know what it isn't. And my team is very good at doing everything better than I am. And you also must have character. Now for the ladies in the room, I will refer to character later because I've had a lot of it and I've had to build it. You know what, Travis, I'm going to give this to you, sweetie. So the next picture is when I proudly display, I hire people better than me, and then I let them get on and do their job. I'm proud to tell you as a leader, I know what my core strengths are, and I really try to just focus on my strengths. Everyone at Blazing is better, smarter, faster than me, and I'm delighted to tell everyone that, because only to be the leader I can be is to hire people better than me. Which brings us to the team here at Blazing. Some of the people here, you see them around, they're the people with big smiles on their face. And when you have a team like me, I never have to be in front of anybody, I never have to go anywhere without knowing this team has my back. They have never let me down. I often show up in meetings and I have no idea what's on that PowerPoint I'm about to punch into a laptop. But they have never let me down. And I'm grateful and blessed that I'm privileged to lead these people the best I can. Which brings me to, this is over Travis's desk, practice safe design, use a concept. Just some of the Blazyisms we have around the office. It's a little bit about the tone, manner, and the kind of culture we have at Blazing. Which brings us to another point. And this is about, I can't see Travis.
Stoking the fire.
Stoking the fire. So let's go to the next slide. And I'm going to tell you that about 3 years ago, I was privileged enough to be chosen by Accenture Canada, a large consulting firm, as one of the 10 businesses they were going to choose to mentor for 18 months to help us grow and get exposure internationally. They always brought best practices in, they brought in their strategic team, and it was a close-knit group of people. They asked us, we met quarterly, and they asked me, each of us, to bring in our goals for the year. And one by one, they brought in their senior executives, and one by one, we had to get up and talk about our goals for the year. Now, when it was my turn to get up, I got up with a scrapbook. And everyone started laughing and said, Michele, what are you doing? I said, these are my goals for the year. As a business leader and as an entrepreneur, my business and personal goals are one and the same. And I need to make sure that I'm holistic in everything I do. So I put it all together in a scrapbook, and you open up the first page and it says, if it's gonna be, it's up to me. The second page talks about family, what I want for my family goals. Then I have personal goals. I have health and wellness goals, and they each have a 12 by 12 page. I have learning and education, and Travis, I'm still trying to learn the technology, I know. I have a page for my hobbies. I have a page for travel. I have a page for rejuvenation. I also have a page of people I need to give thanks to. I have a page of random act of kindness and what I'm going to do. I have a page of books to read. And I have a page on friendships. When we talk about friends, one of the things that's very important to me, and always has been, is making time for my friends. For me, it's the friendships I have in my life, whether they be personal, business, wherever they are, they're very important to me. And I try very hard to make time for my friends. It's a goal of mine. And as you can see in that picture, I think we have about 7 or 8 of those ladies in the room tonight. Michelle, you're in there too. So, which brings me to a story that I'm going to share a bit under duress, but I was told by my WPO sisters that I had to share this story. So for those of you who have heard it many times, I'm apologizing already. I see the smiles. You guys know what I'm talking about. The red dress. 4 years ago, Nancy, where are you? Where are you, Nance? Okay. Nancy invited me to her son's destination wedding in Italy. And when I was in Italy, Katrina said, Mom, if we're going to Italy, I'd really love to see Venice, Florence, and Rome. Could we go early? I said, absolutely, sweetheart. I had bought the perfect red dress for the wedding. I was very proud of my red dress. But when I landed in Venice 12 days before the wedding, I ate like it was my last meal at every meal. We talk about eat, pray, and love. I was eat, and then pray later. Patrick, in his infinite wisdom, gently tried to tell me, sweetheart, you can't eat like that. You've got to stop. And I said, Patrick, please mind your own business. We are walking 10 hours a day. I'm burning up 8,000 calories, no problem. So I continued to eat and eat till the day of the wedding arrived. It was an evening wedding. And I went in to shower. It was time to catch the bus for the wedding. And I showered. And I tried to get the red dress on over my head. And I tried to get it in over my body from the bottom. And the dress didn't go. So I finally got it on. And just like this, it has a zipper on the side. So I called Katrina in because I did get it on, but there was a gap this big. So I asked Katrina to quietly come in and help me get my dress on. So Katrina came and she goes, Mom, we gotta go. Wedding, late. I said, I just need you to help me with my dress. And I turned to the side and I showed her. And she went, oh my God! She goes, Dad told you to stop eating. I said, you know what, we're not going to talk about that right now, just get the dress on. So Katrina tried really hard. She was able to get the zipper up 2 inches, but we still had 12 to go. So she said those dreaded words, Mom, this is a job for Dad. So we opened the door. Patrick, could you come in? Michelle, we need to go. I said, I know. Just help me with my dress. And he says, looks fine. And I turned to the side and he went, oh my God. He said, Plan B. Where is Plan B? I said, there's no Plan B. I just have stretch shorts. I said, we have to make this work, Patrick. So Patrick tried to hold it, and Katrina tried to pull it together. It wasn't working. So my husband took me to a door frame. He put my hands over the door frame, and he made me drop my body, so all gravity went to my feet. And then he held the dress shut while Katrina zipped it up. We had liftoff, but my entire body was squeezed out of the top. And I had a chin rest. And I couldn't sit down for the wedding. Why do I tell you that story? It's much better after several glasses of wine. I tell you that story because it is who I am. I'm real, I'm transparent, and I'm vulnerable. But I also tell that story, and I tell it willingly, because I think we all need to laugh hard. We need to laugh often, and most importantly, we need to laugh at ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. Then I'm going to talk to you about when I really, the idea for this book came in. because on May 16th, 2005, at 10 a.m., I walked into a meeting with my lawyer and was told to file for bankruptcy. There was no hope. This is 7 years ago, and it's still like it was yesterday. Patrick and my father came with me. I was unfortunately the victim of fraud, embezzlement, and forgery. And I didn't find out till it was too late. And it was too late to do anything, and I owed millions of dollars. So I walked into this meeting, and I have to tell you, I was very grateful that a professional who didn't know anything about me told me to file for bankruptcy, because by that point I was done. I was so hurt and so vulnerable and couldn't think through anything. I thought, thank you, I have an out, and I can't wait to take it. And my husband, who was with me that day, looked at this lawyer and said, John, do you know Michele? Do you know my wife before this situation? And John said, no, I don't know her. I've just been told to advise her, and this is what I'm doing. I've looked at the facts. She needs to file bankruptcy. And Patrick looked at him and said, you know what, John, if you knew Michele, you would never tell her that, because Michele never gives up. She never gives up. So forget that and tell us what we need to do to get over this hurdle. And the lawyer said, this is really big. And Patrick said, just tell us and we're going to try. At that point, I didn't know if I loved him or hated him. He wouldn't let me give up. Which brings me to a very special part of my journey. When something like this happens to you, what do you do? How do you cope? How do you cope when your world is falling apart around you? So I want to talk about 6 areas of coping and people who stepped in and how they helped me. Because if I'm not real with you and if I'm not transparent, how can you learn and grow from an experience like this? So professionally, the Halton Fraud Squad stepped in Oakville here and chose to take my case on. They have hundreds of cases to choose from, and they chose mine, of which I will be forever grateful. Lawyers. Once the lawyers knew what we were doing, they put stall tactics in place to try to give me time, to try to figure it out. My accountant, Carm, I see you over there near the bar. Carm, he was a professional relationship, and through this he became a personal relationship. Carm, as a corporate accountant, worked with me every month trying to get it through, figure it out, keep the wolves at bay, so to speak. Shona, where are you, little Shona? She's back there. Shona came in. She started negotiating with all my suppliers, strategic partners, asking for terms, working with my payables, working with the lawyers, working with the bankers, because I couldn't think for myself from a business perspective. Shona had to do my thinking. My team. We were down to 5 people at Blazing. 5. And Tom, you started designing like crazy. Janice, you just went out there and met with clients and strategized and met with clients. Martine, you did everything I told you and asked you to do, and most of it wasn't nice and it certainly wasn't pretty. But they all stepped in from a professional perspective. My business bankers. Harold, back to you again. Harold, he kept misplacing all my financials that head office so desperately wanted to see. You lost them a lot? And Harold did this because he knew me well enough to know that if he kept me away from head office in special loans, I had a chance to recover. Because really, in banking terms, special loans is where businesses go to die. And Harold didn't think I was ready to die. Financially, Patrick again stepped in. He took over my payroll and he took over the rent. He also gave me $100,000 and said, you go, girl. My father sold his condo in Montreal, moved back here, said, I'm going to be your CFO, and he also put quite a bit of money in at 10% interest. My mother also cashed money in and gave it to me. WPO members in this room, a lot of you women stepped up. You gave me gifts of $5,000 to $50,000 and told me to pay it back when I could. I didn't ask you for money. You guys offered with no expectation or no handcuffs to pay it back. My friends also stepped in financially. Some of them bartered their goods and services. Linda Lundstrom, I look at you. You clothed me. Nancy Adamo, you made sure my clients had great food, hotel, and spa. Everyone jumped in to help in different ways. From a physical aspect, I spent a lot of time walking. I went to the gym, good life, thank you. I walked and I tried to meditate and still my mind, but I couldn't do it. Mentally, I sat at my desk when I was at the office and I stared into space. I couldn't even think what I could do to get myself out of this mess. I was so paralyzed. And I have to tell you, I felt very sorry for myself. And I wallowed in my self-pity. And I lost a year of my kids' lives. I can't remember that year because it was just so gosh darn awful. I basically melted. Spiritually, I started going to church on a regular basis. I tried to listen, and I tried to hear, and I really tried to understand the gift, what the gift was, and all of this, and why it had happened to me. What did I do that I deserved this? And I couldn't see light at the end of the tunnel. And lastly, emotionally, how did I cope? Patrick was a rock. Patrick didn't let me wallow in my self-pity, but he gently nudged me every day to keep on walking and keep on doing what I needed to do. My mother took over with my kids. She took over running the house. She did whatever she could so I could try to make some sense out of this at work. Mark Hashi, you called every day. You called every day for 6 months. You called to read me an inspirational verse, say a little prayer, tell me something funny, and sometimes you called just to listen to me cry. My friends, Nancy, MIchele, a lot of you here, you were always there for me, inviting me up, inviting me away, hugging me, just being there for me, doing whatever it is you could to ease my pain. Cheryl, not only did she deliver my children, she's also my best friend. Cheryl gave up 6 months of her life. She came to my house every Friday night, and she stayed till Sunday night, so my mother had a break, and she took over the kids and the house, and she just kind of kept me from losing my mind from an emotional standpoint. She just, MIchele, we're not going to go down that path. You're going to be okay. And actually, I think she was so nervous at one point that I was going too far away that she took me down to Puerto Vallarta for a week. And Cheryl will tell you, in 25 years of friendship, she's never had a quiet holiday with me the way she did that. I didn't speak. I couldn't. So, when I look back and I see, actually it was when I was putting the notes together, the little notes for tonight, what I see is, I went back to spiritually, what were the gifts in all of this? What was the gift of this not so good experience that I went through? And the gift is where I am here today. The gift is the people I have in my life. That was the gift. And I didn't realize that till this week. That all that I had gone through, really at the end of the day, was about the gift of the relationships I have, and why people are so special to me. I put give thanks up here because through all of this, I stop a lot and I just think about giving thanks to people who have made such a difference in my life. And I try really hard to give thanks to people who have blessed me in so many ways. And I'm sure I've forgotten several of you tonight, but it's important to give thanks. Look someone in the eye, really. It's common sense, and give them thanks from the bottom of your heart. Because we don't do that enough. We need to do that. And for a lot of you know, I'm the queen of handwritten cards. And I like people to know that I have taken time out to really acknowledge what a difference you've made in my life. Which brings me to lessons learned, blaze of glory. Go ahead, Travis. Life. My closing. I'm going to bring in a story about Katrina. When Katrina was 9 years old, we were driving home from seeing The Lion King down at the Mervish stage. She was dressed up in a dress. For those of you who don't know Katrina, a dress is a once-in-a-year event. And we were driving along up to Kilbride, and she looked over at me. She says, "You know, Mom, God has given me many gifts." And I said, "You know what, Katrina, you're absolutely right. God has given you many, many gifts." I said, "He's given you the gift of laughter. He's given you the gift of patience. He's given you the gift of loyalty. He's given you the gift of love. He's given you the gift of great friends." And Katrina, at 9, looked at me and said, "Mom, those aren't gifts. Those are choices." From a 9-year-old girl, choices. So I stand in front of you tonight, and I want to let you know that you are my choice. You are my choices. And if I'm overwhelmed, it's overwhelmed with the emotion that you have chosen to spend time with me, that you have chosen to support me, and I want to let you all know that you are my choice. Thank you.